Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going over the best and the worst matches from Monday Night Raw, April 1st, 2024. First off, let's start with the best match of the night, which could either be the main event, but in my opinion, I think the best match of the night is Ricochet versus Ivar. We start off pretty hot. There's not really a story here to be told. The only thing that they kind of latch onto throughout this match is that Ricochet is the high flyer, blah blah blah, and Ivar is the heavy big guy. I mean, we all have seen this story before. He holds down Ricochet, keeps him grounded, as the commentators put over during this match. The only thing that we see them go back to over and over again is Ricochet trying to hit Ivar with a power move, which he never quite gets. During the commercial break, Ivar hits Ricochet with this seated cross body on the ring move, which, I don't know, looks good. It looks fine. Looks pretty good. That sort of leads into Ricochet getting beat on for a bit. Ivar goes back to the well one too many times, and he misses, which leads to Ricochet hitting some sort of a comeback, but is eventually cut off by a fantastic kick and a huge sit-down powerbomb. Pretty much every move in this match looks good. The selling is pretty good. It's nothing special. I will say the little wobbly knees on Ivar, little weird. Pat McAfee tried to say that he was playing possum, or playing a possum, as he says. I don't know. It just looked kind of goofy. When you see an MMA fighter get punched, his knees don't go wobbly like that. He might lose his balance and stumble back, but he doesn't sit there and do the, what's that dance called? You know the one I mean. The one where, who used to do that? That's the one. Ivar with the dude love spot. Bonus points if you said road dog. So we've seen Ricochet attempt to hit Ivar with a few big moves. He never quite gets there, but towards the end, we see Ivar go for a splash in the corner and Ricochet catches him, which is very impressive. I was trying to figure out if there was any tricks being used here, and there aren't really any tricks going on here. Ricochet just actually held Ivar. What I think they did was Ivar kind of braced himself on the ropes just a little bit. During the catch, when Ivar jumps in, you kind of jump in, and then there's a little bit of a weight transfer once you're actually being caught. Ricochet can't just catch and hold him. There's always a little bit of give, you know what I mean? And I think Ivar kind of braced himself on the ropes to kind of help with that sort of momentum shift, and then all Ricochet had to do was keep him held. So I think that does help actually get him in the air, but that doesn't detract from the fact that Ricochet then threw him over his head, which is pure muscle. Then of course we go to the finish where Ricochet climbs up to the top. The crowd is very excited. Ricochet hits his double senton move, which looks fantastic, and the crowd popped hugely for. Really, the match itself wasn't incredible, but the last few moments were definitely very good and very interesting, which is why I think that this is the best match of the night. Now, you could argue that the main event was maybe the best match of the night, but I didn't go for that because nothing of substance really happened, because as we know, this was really leading up to The Rock and Cody's big moment here, the bloodline rules. We had to establish what that means before WrestleMania, so this match was a little bit of a throwaway match. I mean, we saw some cool table spots, and they're both very good in the ring, but nothing really worth dissecting, I wouldn't say. Just a few high spots, which then led us into Cody and The Rock. So Ricochet versus Ivar was our match of the night, but the worst match has to go to Damage Control against Shayna Baszler, Zoey Stark, and Tegan Nox. I'm sorry, ladies, this match just wasn't very good. So aside from there not really being a story, I think the biggest issue that this match has was they're doing too much. You know, trying to block a running clothesline with your feet, that just doesn't look good. I don't think it ever will, and I don't think it ever has. There's a few moments where we see spots being called out very obviously, like John Cena level obvious. And look, wrestling's not easy. I'm not saying it is. I used to be one, and it's not easy. I was by no means a perfect professional wrestler, but I will say, a lot of the stuff in this match looks telegraphed. Everything looks like it's planned to a T, and they're just kind of going through the motions. And when you have a match that looks as telegraphed as this did, it brings you out of the moment just a little bit, because it breaks the illusion that we're not watching an actual athletic competition. It looks more like a bunch of people play fighting, which we all know is what's going on, but there's a lot more nuance to it that can make it an exciting event, and this just felt like play fighting. Now don't get me wrong, there was some stuff that looked good. The senton in the corner looked good. The drop kick looked incredible because she actually hit the crap out of her, it looked like. And the finish looked pretty good too. But that running kick in the corner, not great. Even Asuka's head kick, whatever you want to call that, didn't connect. You can see it doesn't connect. Now wrestling's not about kicking the crap out of each other, but you do want it to look like you hit each other. That's the whole purpose, is you're trying to present it as a real fight. This didn't look like that. Now again, this is a Raw match. This doesn't have to be a 5-star match from some goofball, as CM Punk calls him. This doesn't have to be anything special. I think the problem this match had was just trying to do too much too quickly. A lot of it looked clunky because they were trying to do special maneuvers that just didn't need to be done. You could have just done a classic tag team match, pick on one of them for a bit, get some heat on them, big hot comeback, blah blah blah, some schmozzing, as they call it in the professional wrestling world. Trust me, I was there. And then that leads us to our finish. Again, some of it might look clunky, some of it might not, but at least you're telling a story, which at the end of the day is really all wrestling is about. It's an action movie. When there's a fight scene in an action movie, it's a story being told. The Ivar Ricochet match didn't really have one either, but there was a natural story built into it with the whole David and Goliath thing, which we've seen a million times and it still works to this day, which is why I think this tag team match could have used some classic tag team psychology. It would be safe and we wouldn't end up with what I consider the worst match of the night. And had they used some classic wrestling psychology for a tag team match, the crowd wouldn't be so dead. Because in this situation, nobody really knows who's who. We have no clear babyface, nobody's really cheating to try and get an upper hand, there's no defined heel here. So when we get to a spot like the hot tag, who cares? I don't care what's going on, and it really just feels like we're watching 6 women just play fight in the yard. That's all it feels like. Nobody's telling a story, it feels kind of clunky. And because there's no clearly defined roles for an audience member to latch onto, it just falls flat. I hate to say it, but pretty much the entire match, the crowd was asleep. That's what happens when you don't use some psychology. So those were our best and worst matches of Raw on April 1st, 2024. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that the main event should have been the best match of the night? And do you agree that Damage Control had the worst match of the night? Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next time.